Welcome back to the John Trading channel. I'm John, and in today's video, I'm going to go over Ethereum and Bitcoin for you. You can see that Ethereum is at this major support level on the weekly chart. Plus, Bitcoin has been in this trading range basically for an entire week. Plus, I have a lot of crypto news to go through with you today, so make sure you're watching until the end of the video. Let's begin with some crypto news. As the Bitcoin price drops and mostly goes stagnant, price is starting to make a small return to the buy zone of the 3-week RSI. This could be a very brief opportunity. Don't squander it. The 3-week RSI will visit the danger zone again, but will you still be here to see it? So we can actually see on this chart, you can see the danger zone is around this 30 to 40 per RSI. When coming up to this 100 level, that's also known as the danger zone. So we can basically, and always with the goal of trading is to be buying low and selling high. And you can see how this 3-week RSI is actually showing these buy areas and these sell areas here. All these danger areas are lining up with old tops that have happened in the market back in 2011, back in 2013, back in 2017, also 2021. Every single time we've come into the danger zone, and when we've had these perfect buying opportunities down in the market, all in these green zones, you can see how we've been entering into this buy zone in this area. We're now using this sideways consolidation similar to what we did back in this 2015 era. We're now in that very similar sideways momentum. Then we're going to look for continued momentum to the upside, which potentially will be coming in the next few weeks. The Bitcoin price is trading at a premium again on Binance US. CZ spend less time propping up the Binance coin and more time sorting out this exchange. So we can see on a lot of other exchanges using the actual dollar against this Binance dollar, you can see how there's quite a gap. There's over $300 gap in the price difference there, and obviously who's profiting that? That's going to be Binance. Next, Elon Musk says Apple's intend to remove Damus off the App Store for its Bitcoin tipping feature is a major concern. So obviously this app has been taken off the Apple Store. The reason being is it was accepting Bitcoin as a tipping feature. Janet Yellen finally admits the inevitable. Expect a slow decline in the US dollar as the reserve currency. We're at the end of an empire and global dominance. Expect quality of life to decrease as people pillage what they can. Prepare. Let's now come over and look at the price of Ethereum on this current weekly chart. All through this area, we have began to have a positive sloping exponential moving average, but we are beginning for the first time to begin looking to tick to the downside. Also confirmed by this MACD histogram. All this time, all through until basically August of 2022, we've been in the positive side of the MACD histogram for all these weeks, showing that there was a little bit more bullish momentum buying than there was bearish momentum. And we've finally had this first downtick to the downside. We've still got this positive trending EMA. Similar in this area where we had this negatively trending exponential moving average. Every time we punch it above this 20 exponential moving average, we then look to make major moves to the downside. And it's potentially what's happening here. We're just slightly puncturing through the 20 exponential moving average on the weekly time frame. Potentially now, if we then begin to actually turn to the upside, it wouldn't be overly bearish. But you can see we have actually closed for the first time below the EMA in a long time. Back in all these months, we never closed below her. And now we really need to watch this candle, because if we begin to get lows, and I think this is can failure and definitely come back, we're going to have that sideways trending EMA for the next few weeks after that, if that was the case. Reason being is once we have decently up, decent down, we're going to be in that sideways trading range as people are buying low and selling high in the market. Now let's come over to the daily chart on Bitcoin, which is very similar to Ethereum. All in this area, people have been basically buying low in this area, looking to then again sell high. So we're basically in that trading range price action, especially for these last 4 days. We've been slightly up, slightly down. We're basically trading between 26,200 and 25,600. So really not much price action actually happening. But all through this area, since up here, you can see how we've had that downwards trending exponential moving average, and this is on the daily time frame. So there is a lot of buying in this area, but we're still having that negatively trending exponential moving average. And that's why I was talking about all in these areas here. We're definitely areas to look to sell potentially, because we still had that downwards trending EMA. We're coming into the value zone. We did have a bit of a spike above, but in these areas would have had to be in your stop to be able to survive that. The reason being is this was the last high before we made a low. This would be the area of stops. Once we break this low, now this area is stops. Is basically just using higher lows and higher highs in this particular example. So we're currently in this trading range price action. What we're looking for is to break above and actually come back to the top end of the range, which I think is a very likely trade to come through with. And the reason being is we'll also have this trending EMA begin to then turn to the upside, and that's when we can actually begin to then look for big pushes to the upside. We still don't have this trending EMA on the daily, still trending downwards, and that's where a majority of the plays are going to, the downward side, because it is that slightly higher probability play, having that negatively trending exponential moving average. If we even come over to Binance Coin, you can see this on the daily time frame. All through this area, we were having that trend line trading strategy when you actually connect these highs, basically connecting this high across with this one and trending it across. Basically, we're using this every single time as a resistance level. We then had this major downturn in the market. And obviously, when I'm actually trading, I'm always trading in the direction of the EMA. So really, for Binance, the goal would be to wait for it to come back into this valley area. Again, this isn't financial advice. It's just something that I'm personally doing in my trading account, waiting for price to come back into this area to then continue again, at least to the downside. Even if we only get back to these lows, even from this current price, if we were to come close to here, that would be somewhere around a 16% trade. So obviously, if you have a really good risk to reward ratio on that, even if this trade is only 50-50, again, I think it might be 60-40. Reason being is we have this negatively trending EMA. I think it's very likely to at least test this lows, if not got lower. But at a worst case scenario, I do think we're at least going to retest this price once we come back in here. People are going to see that as finally we get to sell at value rather than selling low, because always the strategy is to buy low and sell high. And that's why this strategy works so well. You wait it to come back to the value zone. Once we get actual fair price value and people still think it's got that downturn, that's when we're actually going to look to sell. So let's even move over to Solana right now. Very similar example, but back in this area, we were having, that's why we were talking about these two particular bars back in these days, as we did have a bit of a close below this trend line. Once you do to get that, you need the next day to basically come back and close above, and we didn't. We still closed below this trend line, and then we had this major collapse to the downside over the last few days. So from top to bottom, over 33% decline with all this news about Coinbase and Binance coming out. So actually major decline in the market, and it was really confirmed after these two buys here. The goal is to really put a stop to sell into the market below this green bar. Obviously, again, not financial advice, just something that I personally do and doing in my trading course. Sell below this bar, and if we weren't able to come back into this area, then, but again, if you look at the exponential moving average all through this entire way, was actually to the downside. So again, just slightly increased probability of more downside movement. Let's even move over to XRP, have a look at the current price action. We're talking a lot about this actually being a trend line. A lot of people were connecting these trend lines across from this area and all the way down. You can see that we basically nearly came back to retest that area, but we are sort of in that trading range price action. People are buying low in these areas. People are selling high in these areas. You can instantly see it, and we're nearly at that buy low strategy. So potentially people, since they've been buying low 2 or 3 times in this area, potentially again, there's a high probability that we're going to continue doing what we've done if we look to the left. But we are still riding that exponential moving average to the upside. It probably is beginning to tick down, especially if you get one more negative day down here, it will then begin to tick down. But we are in that value area zone. The thing is that we do need to be careful. If the entire crypto market, especially like Bitcoin and Ethereum, begin to turn down, then I don't see XRP also getting away with it. A lot of people were talking about potentially XRP relisting on Coinbase, and that's why they had a lot of bullish momentum compared to a lot of coins. If you look at Binance Coin is completely down, whereas Ethereum over the last few weeks is actually up a good 30-odd%. So I really hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you haven't already, leave a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed, and leave a comment if you're enjoying these crypto videos.